The refund report is still warm when Graham Pike lays it across my coffee. A red number fills the bottom row, $38,460. At Monday's client review, he says, aiming his remote at the screen, we should be talking about renewals. Instead, we're explaining a sudden wave of refunds. Naomi Reed, our regional director, looks from the report to me. So does Celeste Warren, the travel manager for our largest corporate client. 3 department heads sit along the other side of the table, studying their notebooks with desperate concentration. Graham gives them a regretful smile. Her careless bookings cost us thousands. My fingers close around the brass Harbor Suite key in my pocket. Graham ordered every conflicting reservation on that screen. When I refused to enter them, he overrode me. He knows I kept records. I know he wants the regional operations job he recommended me for. What I don't know is why he has chosen a room full of witnesses to burn me. Celeste breaks the silence first. Which bookings were hers? She sounds almost bored, but I know that tone. Celeste can turn a 4-word question into a customs inspection. Graham clicks to the next slide. 11 canceled retreats appear in a clean blue table. Beside each one is my name. Celia administered the files, he says. She controlled room allocation and event sequencing. Administered, I repeat. His eyes touch mine. Warning, not surprise. Naomi folds her glasses and places them on the table. She came down from Portland for this review, and she still has rain darkening the shoulders of her coat. Celia, is the report inaccurate? The honest answer requires more than a sentence. Graham built the presentation to punish anything longer than a sentence. The refunds are real, I say. The cause shown here is incomplete. Graham exhales through his nose, as if I have forced him to smell something unpleasant. We can investigate language later. Right now, we owe Celeste an explanation. You owe me 11 explanations, Celeste says. She lifts the report but doesn't read it. Her company, Northline Financial, holds 4 retreats a year at Bellwether's coastal properties. Their groups arrive with color-coded luggage tags, specific coffee demands, and at least one executive who discovers a seafood allergy after reaching the ocean. They are difficult. They also pay on time. Celeste points at the 3rd line. Was this the Kessler workshop? Yes, I say. We were told their reservation displaced ours. Graham's thumb stops on the remote. Your retreat was never displaced, he says. We offered an upgrade at Windward House. Windward House is 23 miles from the ferry terminal. 21. Celeste turns to him. The bus invoice says 23. Naomi holds out a hand before Graham can answer. We're going to separate client recovery from internal responsibility. Celeste, you and I will review Northline's account after lunch. Graham, send me the underlying reservation list. Celia, stay when we finish. It should feel like a reprieve. It doesn't. Graham advances to his occupancy forecast and talks for another 20 minutes in the same smooth voice he uses when a wedding party is drunk before dinner. He is good at this part of the job. That makes what he has done worse somehow. An incompetent man might knock over a building because he cannot read the plans. Graham has read every beam. The presentation ends with a projected 12% summer increase, assuming, Celeste says, standing. We all sleep in the rooms we reserved. Theo Alvarez coughs into his fist. It might be a laugh. With Theo, both sound like an old lawnmower trying to start. Celeste gathers her leather folder. When she passes behind me, she pauses long enough to set the warm refund report beside my hand. Interesting use of the word careless, she says. Then she follows Naomi out. Len from housekeeping escapes next, carrying 3 pens he didn't arrive with. Dana from food service gives me a quick, pained look and leaves without touching the pastries she brought. Theo takes the last blackberry Danish, folds it into a napkin, and nods at Graham. Good meeting, he says. It was not a good meeting, Theo. No, but the Danish survived. The door closes behind him. Graham removes the cable from his laptop and coils it with irritating precision. I take the Harbor Suite key out of my pocket and set it on the table. It is an old brass key with an oval tag stamped 204 from before Bellwether replaced the guest room locks. It doesn't open room 204 anymore. It opens the supply cupboard built into the harbor suite wall, where we keep extension cords, dry erase markers, emergency tea lights, and a bottle of carpet cleaner nobody admits buying. 9 years ago, on my first week, I booked this room for a medical device sales retreat. I carried the key all day because I was afraid of locking their samples inside. The habit stayed. Around here, people joke that I can solve anything if I have that key and a roll of gaffer tape. Graham glances at it. You embarrassed me in front of Northline. I laugh once. I can't help it. His face hardens. Something funny? You said I cost the company $38,000 in front of Northline. I said your bookings did. The bookings you forced through. He sits and loosens his tie, turning from polished executive to reasonable man. It is one of his better tricks. We were at 47% projected occupancy, Celia. 47. After the February storm, after the boiler replacement, after Windward lost its east roof, I made commercial decisions. You sold the same spaces twice. I accepted soft holds where historical conversion supported the risk. The accounting firm paid an exclusivity deposit, and the pharmaceutical workshop had a 60% cancellation pattern. They didn't cancel. No. He says it quietly, almost thoughtfully. They didn't. For a second, the man in front of me looks tired rather than dangerous. Graham has spent 18 months dragging Bellwether out of the hole left by deferred maintenance and a winter nobody could control. He renegotiated the laundry contract himself. He slept at Windward House during the roof repairs. When a seafood distributor tried to add a fuel surcharge after signing, Graham drove inland with the contract and came back without the surcharge. He knows how narrow the margins are. He also knows exactly what he told me. I pull the refund report closer. Why is my name beside every loss? Because you administered the reservations. You used your override after I rejected the conflicts. And then you edited the files to add manifests, dietary notes, room assignments. My job. Which means the history is complicated. He leans back. We don't need to make it more complicated. There it is. He opens his leather folio and removes a single sheet. Corrective action, he says. Internal only. We document a lapse in capacity controls. You complete retraining, and the matter stays at property level. I don't touch it. The paragraphs are short, but I can read the bold lines upside down. Failure to follow booking protocol. Unauthorized reservation changes. Financial impact. You wrote this before the meeting. I prepared for several outcomes. Did one of those outcomes include telling the truth? His expression barely changes. Be careful. The words land softly. Graham rarely raises his voice. He has other people do that for him. I turn the paper around. At the bottom, beneath the signature line, is his title, General Manager. Below that is mine, Senior Operations Manager. You recommended me for Naomi's regional opening, I say. I did. Was that before or after you decided I was careless? His jaw moves. The regional position would mean an office in Portland 2 days a week, oversight of all 3 properties, and enough money to stop treating every appliance in my house like a hostage negotiation. Graham encouraged me to apply. He reviewed my resume. Last Thursday, he told me Naomi wanted someone who could balance standards with commercial pressure. Now I understand what commercial pressure meant. If you sign, he says, I can still support your candidacy. There is such nerve in the offer that I almost admire its construction. And if I don't? Naomi will conduct a full review. Your name is on every affected file. Mara's company catered 2 of the failed events, and I'm sure you understand how that looks. The mention of my cousin changes the temperature in the room. Mara delivered against approved counts. Mara invoiced us for food nobody ate, because you moved a retreat 36 hours before arrival, because your room allocation failed. He pushes the memo toward me with 2 fingers. I hear the faint hum of the projector cooling behind us. Outside the windows, gulls swing over the gray harbor, dropping shells onto the roof to break them open. The sound is small and violent. I'd like the underlying reservation list Naomi requested, I say. You'll receive what's relevant. I'd also like a copy of this. You can have one after you sign. I take out my phone and photograph it. For the first time all morning, Graham loses control of his face. Delete that. It's a disciplinary document with my name on it. You did not ask permission. You didn't ask permission to accuse me in front of a client. He reaches for the paper. I put my palm over it. Neither of us moves. Then the conference room door opens. Theo leans inside, chewing. Sorry, did I leave my... His eyes move from Graham's hand to mine. Your what? Graham asks. Theo considers this. Professional judgment. You left that years ago. Then I'll stop looking. He closes the door. My hand is shaking now. Not much, but enough that the brass key trembles against the tabletop. Graham notices. Take the day, he says. His voice has gone kind again. Read the memo tomorrow with a cooler head. I'm not signing it tomorrow. Don't decide while you're emotional. I'm not emotional. Your hand suggests otherwise. I pick up the key, and the shaking becomes invisible inside my fist. My hand suggests I haven't eaten. That almost makes him smile. Once, before occupancy reports became moral documents, we could make each other laugh. He hired me. He trusted me to run the property when his father died. I sent flowers to the funeral and covered 14 straight days without writing down the overtime. He looks toward the closed door. This place needs adults who can absorb an imperfect quarter, he says. Then absorb yours. I leave the memo on the table. At my desk, my password works, but the reservation dashboard opens in guest recovery mode. I can see complaints and refund requests. I cannot open inventory controls, capacity warnings, or audit history. I try the harbor property. Access denied. Windward. Access denied. Lighthouse Lodge. Access denied. The timing is so fast it makes me cold. He didn't react to my refusal. He planned for it. I open the shared operations folder. The monthly booking exports are gone. Celia? Jenna Vale, our new sales coordinator, stands at the edge of my cubicle holding a mug that says, "Ask me about my retreat." She is 32, painfully cheerful, and better with contract clauses than Graham seems to realize. Graham asked me to take over the live calendar, she says. When? This morning. Before the review? Her cheerful face folds at one corner. 7:15. My unanswered question gets an answer, and somehow it is worse than uncertainty. Graham never intended the memo to solve anything. The meeting was the first step in replacing me. Jenna lowers her voice. He said you were moving to client recovery. I wasn't aware I had moved. Neither was your fern. She points to the plant on my filing cabinet. Someone has placed a yellow, sticky note on its pot. Guest recovery. I peel it off. Did Graham tell you why? He said the booking process needed a cleaner chain of command. She stares into her mug. He also said not to discuss reservation edits with you. There is a decent person inside Jenna, trapped in the awful first month of a promotion. You should follow his instructions, I say. Relief flashes across her face, followed immediately by shame. Okay, but if a confirmed group is moved, ask for the instruction in writing. Her eyes lift. That advice isn't about me, I tell her. It's about your name. My desk phone rings, Dana's extension. I answer. Do you know why Mara Bell is in my kitchen? Dana asks. In the background, sheet pans bang together. Probably because she enjoys your personality. She has a delivery invoice in one hand and a carving fork in the other. Is the fork pointed at anyone? Not currently. I'll be there in 5 minutes. Make it 2. The kitchen occupies the oldest part of Harbor House, where the floor slopes toward a drain installed when the property still processed fish. By the time I arrive, Mara has lined up 6 insulated food carriers beneath the stainless steel prep table. She is wearing her navy catering coat, silver hoops, and the expression she saves for bills that assume she cannot add. Dana stands near the walk-in with both palms visible. "I brought the lunches for Halcyon Group," Mara says. My stomach drops. "Halcyon moved to Windward." "According to whom?" "Graham." "When?" "Friday afternoon. He approved my final count Friday morning." Dana slips a printed event order across the table. At the top is Mara's catering company. In the center, Harbor House Monday, 46 guests. At the bottom is Graham's digital approval, timestamp 10:14 a.m. The transfer was entered at 3:52, 4 hours after he approved 46 lunches for the wrong property. Mara watches me read it. "Your boss says these are my problem." They're not. He also says 2 previous invoices are under review because of your booking errors. Dana becomes very interested in a shelf of mixing bowls. Mara's voice stays level, which is how I know she is furious. "Tell me you didn't sign something." "I didn't." "Tell me you're not going to." "I'm not." She studies my face. We grew up close enough to recognize each other's lies, though neither of us has ever been polite about it. "What did he do?" "Reduced my access, put Jenna over the calendar, offered me a corrective action memo." Mara closes her eyes. When she opens them, her anger has changed direction. "Walk out." "I can't." "You can. There are 46 people at Windward expecting lunch. That sounds like Graham's educational opportunity. It sounds like 46 clients who didn't cause this." Mara points toward the carriers. "And these cost me $2,800. "I know. No, you know the invoice amount. I paid my crew Friday. I paid the fish market this morning. Bellwether still owes me for Kessler and Rowe." "I'll fix it." "You always say that right before you volunteer to be the floor everyone wipes their shoes on." Dana quietly leaves through the pantry. I look again at the approved event order. Graham's signature, the transfer time. 2 decisions on the same day in the wrong order. Not enough to prove the whole scheme, enough to prove this one. "Can the lunches travel?" I ask. Mara lets out a hard breath. "The chowder can, the dressed greens can't. The pastry cream will turn if Windward's refrigerator is still running warm." "It was repaired Saturday." "You checked?" "I made Theo send me a photograph of the thermometer." Despite herself, Mara smiles. "Of course you did." "We send what can travel. Harbor buys the rest for staff lunch at the contracted rate. You invoice an emergency transfer fee. Dana documents the waste. And when Graham rejects it, I attach his approval and the reservation transfer history. You still have access to that?" "No." Her smile disappears. I take the blue grease pencil from the pocket of my cardigan. It belongs beside the laminated scheduling board upstairs, but I started carrying it weeks ago. I draw a line under Graham's approval time, then another under the transfer time. Mara watches the blue marks appear. "What are you doing?" "Making sure nobody gets to call the order complicated." I fold the event sheet once and put it beside the brass key in my pocket. Then I pick up the first food carrier. "Celia, I know what you want me to do." "No, you don't." Mara grabs the handle on the other side. "I want you to stop saving him from the cost of what he does." For a moment, we stand there with 46 lunches between us. Then the kitchen door swings open and Graham walks in. His gaze drops to the carriers, moves to Mara, and settles on the blue pencil in my hand. Something in his expression shifts. He has noticed resistance. "Celia," he says, "my office. Now." Mara sets down her side of the food carrier. "No," she says. Graham blinks. "Excuse me? You can speak to her here. This is an internal personnel matter. Then I'll wait. You don't work for Bellwether. Today, apparently, neither does anyone who expects to be paid." He looks at the 6 carriers, calculating. 46 missing lunches will create a bigger problem than one angry caterer, and Graham never chooses the larger fire when he can smother the smaller one with someone else's coat. Dana will arrange transportation, he says. Dana has lunch service here, I tell him. Mara's crew can take the order to Windward for an emergency transfer fee. I'm not authorizing additional charges. Mara reaches for the nearest carrier. Then Halcyon can eat your occupancy forecast. Mara. She looks at me. You said stop saving him. I said the clients didn't cause this, and neither did I. Graham presses his lips together. He hates being forced to negotiate in a room with knives. What's the fee? He asks. Mara names a number high enough to include a rush van, 2 staff members, wasted greens, and her anger. That's extortionate. That's lunch. He turns to me. You approve this? No, you did. I remove the folded event order from my pocket, open it, and place it on the prep table. The blue lines under his approval and transfer times are impossible to miss. His gaze stays on the marks for half a second too long. You altered a company document. I underlined it. With what authority? The same authority I use to circle dietary restrictions. Mara leans against the table. You can keep asking questions until the chowder cools, but the price won't. Graham signs the emergency transfer form. It is a small win, almost embarrassingly small. A van fee, 2 hours of labor, 6 trays of greens Bellwether will buy for staff lunch. But when Mara picks up her side of the carrier again, she doesn't look at me like I've surrendered. We load the food into her van. Before she leaves, she catches my sleeve. If he delays this invoice, I'm done. I understand. I mean it. So do I. She looks toward the kitchen door. You have that face. What face? The one you had when the bank charged you twice for the same mortgage payment. I cried in the parking lot. You cried in the parking lot, then walked inside with a spreadsheet. I'm not sure that's a face. It's definitely a face. She squeezes my wrist and gets into the van. Graham is waiting in his office when I return. Jenna sits in one of the guest chairs with her mug balanced on her knee. Close the door, he says. I leave it open. He gets up and closes it himself. On his desk, the corrective action memo has been placed in a blue folder. A second document sits beside it. Effective immediately, he says. Jenna has final authority over booking placement. You will handle guest recovery and refund resolution until Naomi completes her review. What happens when recovery requires changing a booking? You recommend a solution to Jenna, and when she needs the history, she requests it from me. Jenna shifts. Coffee touches the rim of her mug. Graham slides the second document over. It is a temporary duty assignment, written in the bloodless language of someone trying to demote a person without using the word demotion. My salary remains unchanged. My weekend authority does not. You still expect me to be on call? I ask. Guest recovery is most active outside business hours. Then I need access to the records that created the complaints. You need access to the complaints. The distinction is the whole plan. I sign beneath received, not beneath agreed. Next to my name, I write the time. Graham watches the pen. You're making this adversarial. You accused me of negligence in front of Northline. I'm responding to a serious financial loss. So am I. He turns to Jenna. Give us a minute. She stands too quickly and splashes coffee onto her hand. Damn. Sorry. I reach for the tissue box. Graham reaches at the same time. Our hands collide, and for one ridiculous second, all three of us are focused on a brown drop moving toward Jenna's cuff. She takes the tissues from me. I've got it. After she leaves, Graham says, You're putting her in a difficult position. I told her to follow your instructions. You also told her to demand written approval. I told her to protect her name. From me? From the calendar. He sits. I built the occupancy that kept Mara's contract alive. That doesn't buy you her invoices as gambling chips. You think this is personal because she's your cousin. It became personal when you used her to threaten me. He looks genuinely irritated. I pointed out a conflict of interest. You approved her as a vendor, on your recommendation, after a bid process. which people will forget as soon as they hear the word cousin. The ugly thing is, he is right. Mara won the contract because she came in 9% under our previous caterer, offered better dietary tracking, and owned equipment that fit Harbor's narrow service elevator. I had disclosed our relationship before she bid. Dana scored the food blind. Finance reviewed the numbers. None of that would fit neatly in Graham's version. He taps the blue folder. Sign the corrective action, Celia. Let me protect you. I stand. You should decide which story you're telling. I can't be careless, insubordinate, and helpless without making you look foolish for promoting me. His eyes sharpen. I haven't promoted you. No, you just needed me to believe you might. I take my copy of the duty assignment and leave. Guest recovery has a shared mailbox with 184 unread messages. Some are 6 months old. One guest wants reimbursement for a sweater that smelled like fireplace. Another has submitted 9 photographs of a chipped bathtub, each from a slightly different angle. A third complains that the ocean view was obstructed by fog. The refund cases are mixed among them, buried in ordinary disappointment. I start with dates. Kessler Workshop checked in May 7th. Northline had held Harbor House exclusively from May 6th through May 9th. Row Leadership booked Lighthouse Lodge for June 12th, but another group appears on the banquet schedule for the same date. The hospice retreat received refunds after being moved out of the quiet wing. I can see what guests were promised. I cannot see who changed it. At 4, an email arrives from Graham to the operations group. Please optimize the July 18th inventory to accommodate the Easton opportunity. Use creative placement and available upgrades. Let's avoid unnecessary rigidity. Easton is a construction management conference worth $61,000. July 18th belongs to Mrs. Alden's finance team. I walk to Jenna's desk. She has printed both contracts and spread them side by side. He says Easton can use the harbor meeting rooms and sleep at Windward, she says. Mrs. Alden has exclusive use of harbor. They only have 38 guests. They paid for the building, not the occupied beds. He says we can upgrade them to Lighthouse. Lighthouse doesn't have an elevator. I know. Mrs. Alden uses a cane after a hip replacement and requested an accessible room near the meeting space. The detail sits on page 3 of her event order. Jenna rubs her forehead. He said you would make this sound impossible. It isn't impossible. It's a breach. That's a very calming distinction. I pull over a chair. Show me what he actually told you. She opens their message thread. Graham has not written move Alden. He has written maximize the higher value opportunity, rebalance underutilized inventory, present upgrades as a hospitality gesture. He did this to you too, she asks. Not at first. What did he do at first? He told me in the harbor suite while tapping a key against his hand. My fingers go to my pocket. The brass oval is there. Jenna looks toward Graham's office. The door is closed, light under it. What do I say? You decide what you can defend. That's not help. It's the only help I can give without making your decision mine. She turns back to the contracts. I took this job because he said sales and operations needed one chain of command. They do. And now you're telling me not to do what the head of that chain says. I'm telling you Mrs. Alden can read. Jenna laughs, then covers her mouth as if laughter might be recorded. She sends Graham a reply. Please confirm whether you are instructing me to remove the exclusive use restriction from Alden Financial's confirmed reservation to accommodate Easton. We wait. 3 minutes later, he appears at her desk. This is exactly the bureaucratic behavior I'm trying to correct, he says. Jenna's face reddens. I wanted to make sure I understood. You understood. So I should remove it. You should solve the capacity problem. He walks away. Jenna stares after him. That's incredible, she whispers. He's better in person. What do I do? Call Mrs. Alden and offer choices before Easton signs. You want me to tell her we're displacing her? No, tell her the truth. We have another group interested in the date. Her contract protects her, and we're willing to offer value if she voluntarily changes properties. She'll say no. Then we have an answer. Mrs. Alden says no in 11 seconds. She also says she is driving past Harbor House and will be here in 40 minutes. When she arrives, she wears a tan raincoat and carries a tape measure. She is 60, silver-haired, and built like a woman who has never allowed a hotel banquet chair to defeat her posture. I was already coming to check the breakout rooms, she says. Now I'm checking whether they still exist. They exist, I tell her. For my group? That is what your contract says. Jenna stands beside me holding both event orders. She looks as though she is about to confess to sinking a ferry. We take Mrs. Alden through the harbor suite, the library, and the 2 smaller meeting rooms. She measures the aisle between tables. She checks the accessible restroom herself. When we reach the quiet wing, a welcome packet sits on the console with Easton Construction printed across the front. Jenna closes her eyes. Mrs. Alden picks it up. Creative placement? I feel a flicker of sympathy for Graham's ability to infect the vocabulary of an entire building. Easton has requested these dates, I say. They have not signed a final contract. Yet someone printed their welcome packet. Sales preparation, Jenna says weakly. Mrs. Alden looks at her for a long moment. What's your name? Jenna Vale. Were you the person who called me? Yes. Good. Keep doing that before people move my luggage. In the harbor suite, I lay out 3 options. She can keep the contract exactly as written. She can voluntarily move to Lighthouse with accessible transportation and a reduced rate. Or she can shift 1 week and receive an additional night for her planning team. She chooses the first. No offense, she says, but an upgrade you did not request is usually a problem wearing ribbon. None taken, I say. What happens now? We honor your reservation. Who tried not to? Jenna looks at me. I could say Graham's name. The answer would be true and strategically useless. He would claim we misunderstood a brainstorming instruction. Management asked us to optimize the date, I say. Your exclusive use clause controls. Mrs. Alden slides the Easton packet back across the table. You're careful with nouns. It's an occupational condition. Her eyes land on the brass key beside my notebook. Does that open the room? Only a cupboard. Useful cupboard? Mostly extension cords. She nods as if this confirms something. Before leaving, she asks for our email addresses. At 6:12, her message reaches Naomi, Graham, Jenna, and me. Celia Park and Jenna Vale handled today's proposed booking conflict with accuracy and professionalism. Celia identified our contractual protections, presented workable alternatives, and confirmed that our exclusive reservation would be honored. Her conduct is the reason I remain comfortable bringing my team to Bellwether. Graham replies at 6:14. Glad the team resolved the confusion. We value the Alden relationship. Jenna reads his response over my shoulder. The confusion, she says. Very dangerous stuff. He'll still take Easton. He'll try. How? I look at the welcome packet, then at his message asking for creative placement. He'll stop moving whole reservations. Jenna follows my gaze to the harbor scheduling board outside the conference room. Mrs. Alden's dates are still blocked in solid blue. At 7 the next morning, the solid block has been divided into pieces. Her guest rooms remain at harbor. Her dinner has moved to windward. 1 breakout room now belongs to Easton, and Graham has shortened housekeeping's reset time between the groups to 20 minutes. No single change looks like displacement. Together, they create a collision. Beside the changes, the system shows Jenna's name. She's already at my desk when I arrive. I didn't do that, she says. Across the lobby, Graham steps out of his office and sees us looking at the schedule. Then he smiles. He has found a cleaner way to make the calendar lie. That smile tells me he expects Jenna to panic. She surprises both of us. She walks straight across the lobby with the printed schedule in her hand. Why are these changes under my name? Graham doesn't invite her into his office. Because you have authority over the calendar. I didn't enter them. You approved the optimization. No, I asked whether you were instructing me to remove the exclusive use restriction. You didn't answer. His smile disappears. Watch your tone. Her face goes white, but she stays where she is. I need the changes reversed. You need to learn the difference between a strategic decision and data entry. Mrs. Alden has the whole property. She has the rooms specified in her event order. She has an exclusive use clause, and we're honoring it. Jenna looks back at me. She wants me to explain how a conference can simultaneously have exclusive use and share a breakout room. I have nothing that will survive Graham's dictionary. Who entered the changes? She asks. I assigned the inventory. Using my name. The system attributes changes to the calendar administrator. That is you. The lobby goes quiet around us. At the front desk, a receptionist lowers the volume on the morning playlist until a jazz trumpet is whispering beneath the argument. Graham notices the audience. Celia, he says, guest recovery has 40 open cases. I suggest you recover some guests. I return to my desk. Jenna follows 20 minutes later. She shuts the narrow glass door to the recovery office and leans against it. I want my old job back. You hated your old job. I hated selling holiday parties to insurance companies. It was honest hatred. She drops the schedule on my desk. He can make everything show my name? The main screen shows whoever administers the calendar. The audit history should show which credentials authorized restricted changes. Should. I've never had a reason to doubt it before. And you can't see the audit. No. She sits. This is a terrible promotion. They usually wait until the second week to reveal that. A short laugh escapes her. Then she presses her fingertips to her eyes. I thought you were being territorial, she says. I was a little territorial. You told me to follow his instructions. You looked like you needed permission. I needed you to tell me he was a liar. You wouldn't have believed me Monday morning. She lowers her hands. I would now. That afternoon, Easton receives a contract for Harbor's remaining guest rooms, one breakout room and dinner service at Windward. Graham has shaved pieces from Mrs. Alden's event without technically moving her group. Jenna refuses to finalize it. He finalizes it himself. The confirmation hits the shared mailbox at 4:17. At 4:20, Graham sends an operations message congratulating sales on finding capacity through collaboration. Jenna prints it. I take out my blue grease pencil and draw a line beneath the time. Why that pencil? She asks. Because pens disappear. That thing looks older than the building. It's waterproof. Are you expecting the emails to get wet? I work at a coastal hotel. I expect everything to get wet. She hands me the Easton contract. I mark the date and add it to the collision report. I have printed those reports every night since March, when Graham first placed 2 tentative groups in the same dining room and told me one would probably vanish. The report was supposed to help housekeeping and food service plan around holds. Once the overlaps stopped being accidental, I kept the pages in the black operations binder inside the Harbor Suite cupboard. The same cupboard opened by the brass key in my pocket. At 8:30, after the last conference group leaves the lounge, I unlock it. Extension cords spill against the door. A box of tea lights slides forward and hits my shoe. Behind the extra projector cable sits the binder. I carry it to the conference table and turn on one lamp. The blue marks begin in March as circles. By April, they become boxes around conflicting room assignments. In May, I started writing short notes in the margins. GP directed override, 8:10 a.m. Confirmed exclusivity reviewed, requested written approval, manager override after rejection. The words looked almost petty when I wrote them. Now they look thin. A human choice flattened into half an inch of blue wax. Theo appears in the doorway holding 2 cans of ginger ale. You're either investigating something or decorating for the saddest birthday party in history. I close the binder. You walk quietly. I'm an auditor. Surprise is all we have. He places 1 can near me. Graham asked whether the nightly collision reports still exist. When? After you underlined his catering approval. What did you say? I said I reconcile revenue, not stationery. I open the binder again. Theo sits across from me and reads the top page without touching it. You kept all of them? All the ones I printed. Good. Why? He opens his ginger ale. Because he asked me to change the employee codes on 7 refunds. The tab cracks loudly in the empty room. To mine? He said your code should be attached because you administered the original reservations. Did you do it? Twice. My anger rises so quickly I have to put both hands flat on the table. Theo stares at his can. The first one looked like cleanup. The second one didn't. I refuse the rest. You changed 2 records to make me responsible. I changed the processing code. I didn't change the authorization history. Naomi's report showed my name. The summary shows the processing code. I stand so fast my chair hits the wall. Theo doesn't defend himself. That is the only reason I stay in the room. My rent went up 20% last year, he says. My husband's restaurant closed. I saw Graham lining up blame and I decided not to be the tallest person in the field. So you bent down. Yes. The answer takes some of the air out of me. He reaches into his jacket and removes a folded close packet. After the second refund, I printed the daily authorization logs before I ran corrections. I've kept doing it. The packet shows the refund amount, my processing code, and Graham's manager approval. Why didn't you give these to Naomi Monday? Because Graham didn't accuse me Monday. That's your standard? No, that was my excuse Monday. He looks at the binder. I'm sorry, Celia. I want to punish him for being late. Instead, I move the ginger ale away from the paper. Did you preserve every close packet? Every day since May 9th. Keep them where they belong. Don't take anything home. He nods. And don't alter another code. I already stopped. Then write a statement documenting his request. His mouth twists. That sounds dangerous. It is. What are you writing? I look at the blue pages. Everything. Theo leaves me his ginger ale. I photograph the marked collision reports, return each page to its place, lock the binder in the cupboard, and put the brass key back in my pocket. At home, Mara is sitting on my front steps. Her catering van blocks half the driveway. I park on the street. You could have texted, I say. You would have answered tomorrow. She holds out her tablet. Bellwether's payment portal shows 3 invoices marked Review Hold, $31,000. My mouth goes dry. He included today's transfer. He included everything. Kessler, Rowe, Halcyon. My payroll clears Friday. We have the contracts. My staff cannot deposit contracts. Come inside. I don't want tea. I wasn't offering tea. Inside, she paces while I open my laptop. I have enough in savings to cover most of Friday's payroll. It is the money I set aside after my furnace began making a metallic knocking noise in January. Mara sees the account balance. No, it's a transfer, not a gift. No, you'll pay me back when Bellwether releases the invoices. And if they don't, they will. You don't know that. I know the event orders were approved. This isn't about whether I'm right. She closes my laptop. I told you I was done if he delayed payment. You also have 6 employees who work those events. I can use my credit line. At 19%, that is my business. And I brought your business into Bellwether. You did not create Graham. I recommended the contract. Because I earned it. Her voice cracks on the last word. We stand in my kitchen facing the same fear from opposite sides. Graham's version has reached us. Her success is my favor. My judgment is family loyalty. Every clean transaction can be made dirty by saying cousin. I know you earned it, I say. Then stop acting like my rescue is your responsibility. I'm not rescuing you. What do you call offering your furnace money? Cold. She laughs despite herself, one hand over her eyes. I reopen the laptop. I'll cover half. You use the credit line for half. When Bellwether pays, you repay me first. You'll be without a cushion. I'll wear sweaters. You hate sweaters. I hate decorative sweaters. Functional sweaters are innocent. She sits beside me. I make the transfer. The next morning, Graham removes me from the regional positions interview schedule. Naomi tells me in person. She finds me sorting refund documentation in the recovery office and closes the door behind her. Graham has raised concerns about your judgment, she says. Until the review is complete, I can't consider you for a broader role. I understand. You don't look surprised. He gave me a corrective action memo before you requested the reservation list. That gets her attention. You didn't sign it? No. Send it to me. He refused to give me a copy. I show her the photograph. Naomi reads it twice. I requested the underlying reservations Monday. He sent a summary export. The summary is misleading. Can you prove that? Yes. The word comes out before caution can stop it. Naomi studies me. Then bring me records, not conclusions. We'll conduct a formal refund review Friday morning. Graham will be present. Will I have access to the system history? I'll request it through regional administration. Graham's office door opens across the lobby. Naomi lowers her voice. Do not modify anything between now and then. I haven't. I mean anything. She leaves with my photograph in her phone. By Thursday afternoon, the Alden and Easton schedules have become physically impossible. Both groups are assigned to the Harbor Suite at 3 o'clock. Housekeeping has 20 minutes to reset the room from 38 finance directors to 60 construction managers. Dinner for both groups is routed through the same service corridor. Jenna rejects the final setup. I reject the recovery plan that would move Mrs. Alden after arrival. Graham summons us to the Harbor Suite. He places the brass supply cupboard key on the conference table. My pocket is empty. I found this in your desk, he says. I know I left it in my cardigan. You searched my desk? I secured company property. He taps the key against his palm just as he used to while ordering the first overlaps. Celia, move Alden's afternoon session to the library and issue a complimentary dinner credit. Jenna, release the Harbor Suite to Easton. No, I say. His hand stops. Put it in writing, I tell him. State that you are overriding Alden's exclusive use clause, and I'll document the recovery options. I'm giving you a direct instruction. Then you should be comfortable recording it. He looks from me to Jenna. Jenna folds her hands to hide their shaking. I need it in writing, too. For once, Graham cannot divide the room. He sits at the conference table and opens his laptop. You want a record? He says. He logs into the reservation system, removes Mrs. Alden's exclusive use flag, and assigns the Harbor Suite to Easton. Then he turns the screen toward us. His manager override sits beside the collision. There, he says, now solve it. I look at the brass key between his hand and mine. Friday's review is 17 hours away. First, you give me the key, I say. Graham looks down at it. The key is company property. So is the room you just sold twice. Jenna makes a small sound that could become a laugh if she weren't terrified. He pushes the key across the table. I put it in my pocket. Second, Easton keeps the guest rooms you promised, but their afternoon session goes to Windward. We move their dinner into the conservatory there and provide continuous transportation. Easton specifically requested Harbor. Mrs. Alden specifically purchased Harbor. Easton is worth $61,000. Then you should spend some of it keeping them happy. His face darkens. You've been instructed to move Alden. I've been instructed to solve the collision. That is the only solution that honors the signed contract. The library can accommodate her group. The library has one exit, fixed shelves, and a maximum seated capacity of 32. We've seated 40. Then we were unsafe at 40. He leans toward me. Do you want to keep your job? The question hangs in the Harbor Suite, where I have covered for broken projectors, drunk executives, missing ferries, a chef who quit during dessert, and one memorable consultant who locked himself on a balcony while demonstrating mindful leadership. I take out the blue grease pencil. On the printed setup schedule, I circle Easton's afternoon session, draw an arrow toward Windward, and write shuttle beside it. I want to be able to do my job, I say. Graham looks at Jenna. If you enter that change, you'll be overruling me. Jenna takes the paper from my hand. No, she says. I'll be correcting a conflict you created. Her voice shakes, but the words reach him intact. He closes his laptop. If Easton walks, both of you own the loss. He leaves us in the room. Jenna waits until the door closes. Please tell me Easton won't walk. They might. That was not the answer I requested. We need to make Windward sound intentional. It has scaffolding on the east side. It also has the best conservatory in the region, a private terrace, and a view of the inlet. The terrace smells like roof tar, only when the wind changes. She stares at me. We won't mention the terrace. Easton's event planner answers Jenna's call from an airport. She is angry for 6 minutes, skeptical for 4, and interested when I explain that Windward's conservatory allows her vendors to stage demonstrations without breaking down between sessions. Jenna offers the shuttle, an audio-visual credit, and exclusive access to the bar after dinner. Can you guarantee harbor guest rooms? The planner asks. Yes, Jenna says. She looks at me before adding, and I won't change them without your written approval. The planner accepts. By 9, Dana has rerouted catering. Len has assigned a 2-person evening crew to Windward. Theo has adjusted the shuttle deposit without moving a cent into the wrong account. The solution costs Bellwether $3,700. It costs Graham nothing personally. That is the part he has depended on from the beginning. I email the final plan to everyone involved, attach both contracts, and include Mrs. Alden. 3 minutes later, she replies, "This arrangement preserves our agreement. Thank you." Easton's planner replies next, "Accepted as described. No additional placement changes without written consent. The sentences are plain. After months of language designed to hide decisions, plain feels luxurious." Jenna leaves at 10:15. Before she goes, she stands beside my desk with her coat buttoned wrong. What happens tomorrow? Naomi opens the audit. And if it shows what Graham says it shows? Then I answer for what I did. That is an unsettling amount of maturity. I'm too tired to manufacture another personality. She fixes her button. I printed every message. Keep them in the normal booking file. I made a second copy. Of course you did. I've had an excellent teacher. I don't tell her whether she means me or Graham. At 11, I take the operations binder from the cupboard. The old brass key sticks halfway through the turn. I have to lift the door by its handle, the way maintenance taught me years ago. Inside the binder are 4 months of collisions, each one marked in blue. I carry it to the same seat where Graham placed the refund report across my coffee. Theo arrives with the close packets in a gray archive box. "You look terrible," he says. "You look like you slept in accounting." "I've had less restful accommodations." He sets the box beside the binder. On top is his signed statement. 2 pages, no excuses. "I documented the code changes," he says, "both of them. I also documented the 5 requests I refused. You understand Naomi may discipline you?" "Yes." "Why do this now?" He considers the question. "My husband closed his restaurant because he kept covering one bad month with the next good month. By the time he admitted what was happening, every number in the place had become a wish." Theo touches the edge of the box. I know what numbers look like when they're being asked to lie. I read his statement. It identifies dates, amounts, and the exact instruction Graham gave him. It also admits Theo complied twice. "Thank you," I say. "I should have said something Monday." "Yes." The answer hurts him. It also lets us remain in the same room. We place the close packets in date order and leave them on the conference table. I photograph the binder's contents again, then lock it back in the cupboard. The key goes into my pocket. At midnight, I drive home and sleep in my clothes. Friday morning, Graham is already in the harbor suite when I arrive. The blue folder sits in front of him. My corrective action memo is inside. Naomi takes the chair at the end of the table. Celeste Warren sits to her right with Northline's refund file. Theo and Jenna sit along the wall. Dana joins by video from Windward because Easton's breakfast delivery has arrived early, which is the kind of problem I miss having. Graham looks rested. Naomi begins with the 11 refunds. She asks him to explain his summary. He speaks for 15 minutes. He describes an aggressive recovery strategy after the storm. He says our booking team operated with broad discretion. He acknowledges approving exceptions, but says Celia controlled day-to-day placement and failed to escalate accumulating risk. He displays a spreadsheet showing my edits on every damaged reservation. She altered the Kessler file 14 times, he says. The row file 9 times. She touched Northline's reservation the day before displacement. Celeste looks at me. Why? Kessler had 43 dietary notes and 2 ferry manifests. Row changed its rooming list 3 times. I added Northline's final audiovisual order. Graham spreads his hands. That's her characterization. Naomi turns to me. What's yours? I place the Harbor Suite key on top of the black operations binder. The summary shows who administered each file. It does not show who authorized the conflicts. I'd like you to compare 4 reservations: Kessler, Row, Northline, and the Alden-Easton collision entered yesterday. Graham leans back. Yesterday produced no refund because Jenna and I corrected it at a cost of $3,700. After you assign the same room to 2 confirmed groups. Naomi raises a hand. Celia, show me your records. I open the binder to the first blue circle. Each collision report has a system print time. Each handwritten note points to a warning, a rejection, or an instruction. Jenna provides the messages about creative placement. Theo places his close packets beside the refund summary. Graham reads Theo's statement and looks up slowly. You misunderstood a reconciliation request. Theo's hands are clasped so tightly his knuckles have gone pale. No, he says. I understood it after the second one. Graham turns to Naomi. Handwritten notes and retrospective statements are not an audit. You're right, Naomi says. She connects her laptop to the screen. The regional systems administrator restored the full history this morning. She opens the reservation platform. On the left is the familiar booking record. On the right is a panel I have never been permitted to see, Booking Audit. The room becomes very quiet. Naomi opens Kessler first. My entries appear as ordinary edits, dietary notes, ferry manifests, room assignments. Then comes the capacity warning I triggered. Rejected by operations, CELIA'S Park. 4 minutes later, another entry appears. Restriction removed. Manager override, G. Pike. She opens Northline. Exclusive use flag acknowledged by operations, CELIA'S Park. Conflicting hold declined, CELIA'S Park. Override approved, G. Pike. Windward transfer authorized, G. Pike. Refund processed under my code. Manager authorization, G. Pike. Celeste's eyes stop on the screen. That's why we were moved? Graham folds his arms. That screen shows decisions, not context. We were protecting revenue. Naomi opens Row, then the hospice retreat, then Halcyon. His credentials appear beside each collision. My edits follow afterward, arranging transportation, meals, room assignments, and refunds. Finally, she opens yesterday's reservation. The exclusive use clause disappears at 4:43 p.m. Manager override, G. Pike. The blue pencil mark on my printed schedule points to the same minute. Naomi removes her glasses. Why did you attribute the losses to Celia in Monday's client review? Because she managed the files? Why did you ask Theo to post refunds under her employee code? For reporting consistency. Why did you remove her audit access before I requested the underlying records? She was under review. You had already reassigned her calendar authority before the review began. Graham glances at Jenna. She places the duty assignment email on the table, time-stamped 7:15 Monday morning. For the first time, he has no language ready. Celeste closes her refund file. You told me her careless bookings cost us thousands. Graham's voice changes. The Polish falls away, leaving something more human and less sympathetic. We were dying on occupancy. I made calls nobody else was willing to make. 2 of those overlaps worked. Those revenues paid staff, paid vendors, kept Windward open. Celia would rather leave a room empty than accept commercial risk. I accept risk, I say. I don't hide it in someone else's name. You blocked everything. I blocked confirmed clients from colliding. You made growth impossible. And when the gamble failed, you made me the loss. Naomi closes the audit panel. Graham, you are relieved of booking and refund authority effective immediately. You'll remain available to HR and finance during the review. Hand me your system token. His eyes stay on me as he removes it from his key ring. There is no triumph in his face, only fury mixed with a tiredness I recognize. He did help save Bellwether after the storm. Then he decided saving it entitled him to choose who absorbed the damage. He places the token in Naomi's hand. You'll regret putting operations people in charge of revenue, he says. Naomi slips it into her coat pocket. Operations is where revenue becomes a promise. Celeste gathers her folder. Before leaving, she turns to me. I'd like you on Northline's next planning call. I'm currently assigned to guest recovery. She looks at Naomi. That sounds like a recoverable error. Weeks pass before Bellwether finishes its review. Graham negotiates a separation and leaves without another meeting with me. The company releases Mara's invoices, pays the emergency fees, and reimburses the interest on her credit line. She repays my furnace money in 3 transfers, each labeled Sweater Fund. Theo receives a written warning for changing the refund codes. Naomi also places him on the team redesigning close procedures. Jenna keeps the calendar with audit access and a habit of asking direct questions in complete sentences. My lost on-call pay is restored. The corrective action memo is withdrawn. Naomi offers me the regional operations position in August. I ask for 2 days. Then I return with conditions. Sales cannot remove capacity restrictions without a second approval. Night audit retains unaltered close packets. Confirmed exclusivity cannot be divided into creative placement. An operations staff may reject a booking without losing system access. Naomi reads the list. Anything else? Mara's renewal goes through an independent bid. You're willing to lose her? If she wins, I want everyone to know why. Mara wins by 6%. At my first regional review in the Harbor Suite, the supply cupboard has a new electronic lock. The old brass key no longer opens anything. I set it beside a blue grease pencil while Mara reads her renewal contract across from me. She examines every cancellation clause, changes one deadline, and slides it back. You still have furnace money? She asks. Some. Buy a sweater. I have standards. She signs. After she leaves, I turn the old key once beneath my thumb. Then I place it in the desk drawer and close it, leaving the blue pencil beside the new schedule.